I'm Dennis Anderson, along with Julie Zenner. Here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Lake Superior College will offer free tuition to Minnesota high school seniors who enroll in qualifying programs. We'll have more on this remarkable offer.
Coming to a road near you, cars that drive you to your destination. The future may be nearer than you imagine.
And for movie lovers, a weekend of independent films in the Duluth Superior Film Festival.
These stories and a lot more coming up on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. And Julie, we have something for everyone on this week's program.
We do lots of good stuff tonight.
All right, no time to waste.
All right, thank you, Denny, and welcome everyone. The huge cost of a college education can be a burden for recent high school graduates and their families, but a program announced this week by Lake Superior College could give 2016 high school graduates a real head start toward their college career. Here to tell us more is Patrick Johns, the president of Lake Superior College, and Michael Seymour is vice president of academic and student affairs at LSC. And thanks to both of you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. Johns, exciting news. Sounds like a dream come true for college students who don't want to go into debt. Where did the money come from, and who qualifies for it?
Well, 1 year ago, the Minnesota legislature passed a bill and appropriated $8.5 million to go to MnSCU two-year colleges across the state of Minnesota, and Lake Superior College is one institution that has qualifying programs for this. It has to be occupational programs. They can be certificates, degrees, or diplomas, but they must be in the 1 or 2 year occupational program.
How many occupational programs are there at LSC, and who does qualify for those?
Well, we have approximately 80 different programs. There are variations, in some cases a certificate, a diploma, or degree of the similar program. And to qualify, the family income has to be below $90,000. And also they have to graduate this spring, or 2016 spring graduates of area high schools, or have a GED that is recently completed.
Michael, are the grants competitive at all, or are they available to any qualified person who applies for them?
That's a nice thing about this grant opportunity. It's open to everybody, provided you meet the eligibility. I guess the first requirement that people would look at would be your household income of $90,000 or less. Financial aid, typically in the way of Pell grants, will entertain household incomes of up to $45,000. So this particular opportunity tries to find a place for those folks between $45,000 and $90,000 a year. But there's a couple of other drivers for this pilot. One of them being the cost of higher education and the debt now that many students carry after, even at a two-year college, after a couple of years of paying the current costs. The other is to try to align students with the needs in the workforce. So the grant is trying to encourage more students to consider occupational areas where there's a high demand. So there'll be opportunities for good jobs at the end.
Mike, when you talk to these students, what are they looking for at LSC? I mean, why your school?
Well, here, Danny, I'm fortunate enough to have a window on campus. My window looks out to the parking lot, and we'll work on that. But,
a larger window.
But what I see out my window before every semester is typically a mother about 10 feet in front of her student, sort of saying, come on, you're not staying home, you're gonna go to school, right? So I think we're the place that many students are unclear of their future and what they really wanna do, and they're not ready yet for maybe university. So they come to us to either get some liberal arts and transfer later, or they come to us for skills training.
So what are those specific skill programs then that you hear from employers in our region that they really need to find qualified workers for?
Well, we have 3 broad divisions at the college, liberal arts and sciences, and that's one area that the program does not cover. But we have a business and industry area division, and we also have our allied health and nursing. And those are the 2 categories, or the broad areas that qualify for this program. And Mike might want to talk about a couple individual programs, but we're seeing a skills gap, not only in Minnesota, but across the country in many of the manufacturing, other trades areas, as well as we have job openings in the Duluth area, northeastern Minnesota, in allied health, particularly in nursing, but other areas as well.
So either one of you could address this. What are some of these high demand occupations that need some assistance?
Well, the trades, you know, we could turn out probably 50 carpenters a year and turn them into apprentices somewhere working in our community. So there's a shortage of tradespeople, mechanics, auto mechanics, auto body specialists. Those advisory committees have been very active recently because of the shortages they're experiencing in trying to find qualified people. We see a good number of students in our manufacturing programs now, and that's another high demand area, our welding, our machining.
Right, we conduct a graduate follow-up study after students leave, and our last year's graduates in these programs had over 90% placement into the job-related areas. So it is almost across the board. These skills that are needed, they're just not that many. There's so many people that are retiring or moving on. We need replacements, and that's what this program was originated to try to help get people into those careers.
Doctor, you're finding most of those people looking for work locally?
They are looking locally, don't always find it locally, but in the allied health nursing area, there are many job openings locally. We'd like to see them stay. The same with the trades areas, particularly in the Duluth area, with all of the construction that's been going on, they could use more workers.
So as an institution, are you finding it difficult to fill those programs that you're offering? Is there a lot of room there for new people, or is this just a new funding source for the same number of students that you would have anyway?
Some programs have waiting lists. Others, there's capacity. You know, unfortunately, again, I think in the way of advising our young people, we don't necessarily put them on the path of the future. And by that, there's a formula out there now. It's been coined out of Penn State by a couple of researchers out of the education college. It's called 127. It's a formula that represents the workforce beginning as early as 2020. And the formula suggests that for every one master's or doctor level graduate, there would be a need for 2 baccalaureate level graduates and 7 graduates from 2-year programs who have skills. And that'll be more reflective of the workforce of the future. What you see happening now is we still have the tendency to push all our kids in the direction of university. So we're probably more of a 1-7-2 model right now. And so we're seeing then our students are paying plenty to go to university for 4 years. At the end, they may not be successful in finding a job that pays accordingly to pay that debt off.
We have just a couple of seconds left, but if people want to find out more about this, want to access this money, where do they go? What do they do? What do they have to do quickly?
Well, they can either come to the college. We're open Monday through Friday. The other is that they can call directly to our student financial aid office at 733-7601.
Are the funds going fast?
Well,
They will be after
yeah,
today.
hopefully after
That's
today
right.
they will.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, so
Good.
much for
Well,
coming
thank
in.
you for
Good
having
Thank you
afternoon.
both very much.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
These men are stepping into a college classroom, or at least what soon will be when the new Fond du Lac Community College is completed here next summer. Groundbreaking ceremonies were held this afternoon with plenty of enthusiasm felt among the crowd, which included Indians from the Fond du Lac Reservation, namely Tribal Chair Sonny Peacock.
It's actually the work of a lot of people, hundreds of people, and that pretty much proves to everybody that once we set our minds together in this part of the country, that we can achieve the goals we want to, as long as those goals are correct in our minds and worth going for.
The $7 million campus is economic good news for Cloquet. It's a project that will come to fruition despite tough times for educational funding in Minnesota. The 5-year project has had a lot of assistance. This 38-acre site was donated by Potlatch, and along with a lot of dedication, state, federal, and local assistance is helping the college campus become a reality.
So here's a question. Are you ready for self-driving cars? Automobiles that drive you to your destination have been the stuff of science fiction for decades. But the reality of autonomous cars may be closer than you think. Among others, Google and Tesla have been testing the technology on roads around the country. So, how soon will cars be driving us instead of the other way around? Well, former Duluth News-Tribune editor Robin Washington is on the editorial board of the Boston Globe and has been researching and writing about self-driving vehicles. Welcome, Robin. Good to see you again.
Great to be here.
How in the world did you get interested in self-driving cars?
I covered transportation, I think, since the beginning of my career, and we won't tell you when that was. But they weren't streetcars, by the way. But they were L trains and things like that in Chicago. And then I had a transportation column for the Boston Herald for many years before I came to Duluth, and have picked that up. And this is the new world now, self-driving cars.
How close are we to driverless cars really being available to the general public?
So they're actually here. Your neighbor probably might have one or something like that, in the sense that there are semi-autonomous cars. And that means cars that have pretty much the features that a driverless car has. So what do they have? They have adaptive cruise control. I'm going to say that in English in a minute, okay?
Okay.
They have lane assist, and they have collision avoidance. Adaptive cruise control means a car is programmed to follow the person in front of you and mimic them, and also the people behind you, and adjust. So your usual cruise control was 70 no matter what. Now it goes back and forth, whatever. That means it accelerates and decelerates by itself. Lane assist means it beeps when you go over those white lines or something, or it may even pull the wheel back for you. Okay.
Wow.
And then lastly, collision avoidance, we hope we know what that is, means it'll stop the car for you if you don't do it. So what did I just say? Accelerate, decelerate, right? Steer and brake. That's called driving. So the cars can actually already do it now. And this technology goes back years. Mercedes-Benz has been working on it for at least 30. And the question of when they'll be here is when the roads can actually be outfitted for the cars.
There you go.
So
Rob, go ahead.
What has to be done to the roads to outfit them for this kind of technology?
Well, we live in Minnesota, right? And it snows here.
Yeah.
So we'll have to get Minnesota to stop snowing. One problem is
Climate change, we're working on
well,
it.
then we got it. Okay, so your answer, when will it happen? Next week, right? So, one problem of that lane assist is the way it works. It has a radar, LiDAR, cameras, and everything that read the markings on the road. Unfortunately, and forget about Minnesota. Boston last year with 7 feet of snow.
There you go.
Ain't going to happen. So Singapore is likely to be the first place to get it, and controlled areas like that. But they are working, and they'll figure that out. It might end up with chips in the road, and so therefore it doesn't matter how much snow is on it.
Eventually, will we program in then a GPS system that'll take us to a destination? We'll program in Minneapolis?
Well, you know what these are, right?
Absolutely.
So you sit here and you're at home and you say, all right, I got to go to work, right? And you do what you do on your app, and the car shows up. And by the way, I'm not shilling for this industry. I'm just saying this is the vision. This is how it works.
Have you bought stock yet?
I would not buy stock in auto insurance because that is going to disappear. If these cars will likely not be owned by you, and it'll be owned by either Google, Uber, or the auto companies themselves that will lease them to you. And there's actually a Ford program where they have a shared lease they're testing so that 6 people would have it. And to finish what I was saying, you do, Denny, your app, you get your car, you come here, and then the car goes and gets you, Joe.
Yeah, but I got to show you something. Are you telling me I have to change phones before I get a driverless
Big
car?
bag phone
You'll
out.
get a horse and buggy.
So who has that information then? You know, if you're communicating on your phone and telling them where you're going, are there privacy issues associated with this where, you know, somebody is storing all of the trips that you take every day of your life and knowing where
Unfortunately, that's
where you're
happening right now. Did we mention the word Google? I mean, the amount of stuff they know about us is kind of scary already. And frankly, if you're talking about Uber or Lyft or any of these things, Uber's not here yet in Duluth, but yeah, they know everything about you, and that's not going to change. If anything, you know, maybe there might be less of an illusion that you have control. So maybe in that case, you know, you're not. It's
Just a
phased by
practical
it.
question. Would a driverless car take some of the fun out of driving?
Absolutely. So the president of Porsche has said, no, we're not doing this. Almost every car maker is doing this, and they are really careening toward this. I've never seen this kind of money for research and development going on, billions of dollars. It hasn't really happened since Manhattan Project? I don't know. I wasn't around for that. But Porsche said, you buy a Porsche because you want to do what? Drive. And so, you know, who knows? We have horse tracks and horse places to go. Maybe there'll be a Porsche track or something. I have a Miata, by the way, and it's manual. Okay, there's no such thing as a driverless manual.
So there are nuances to driving that come from experience that are beyond just technically being able to move in the right direction. How are those factored into the brains of these cars?
Right, and that's what Google is doing right now, and there's actually some criticism about this. Google has these cars that are driving in nice warm places without snow, although I think they're trying Pennsylvania right now, so they may get hit by some snow. But they've been driving around California, Arizona, and not just them. And they've logged millions of miles, and they point out we only have 1 or 2 accidents and whatever. What they're doing there is they're saying that they are, well, Google's very good at this, is just like it captures every search you ever did and remembers it, it remembers everything about the road. Little old lady was crossing here. The light turned yellow for too long here. And so it's actually learning, which is artificial intelligence. But some criticism came out of Duke University, some robotics scientists who are tops in their field too, who have said, you know, it doesn't matter how many millions of miles you drive. You have to drive in adverse conditions. So again, Minnesota. If you come here one day and drive in December, you'll learn a lot.
Are insurance companies giving their blessings, or are they afraid of this?
They are deadly afraid. I have a source that says one major insurance company is actually looking at something like OnStar and other offers for you know, automotive services. Of course, actually, I don't know if OnStar makes any sense because the driverless car doesn't care.
Got to go. Thank you, Robin. Robin Washington,
welcome.
subject driverless cars.
Interesting.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, this week marks the 7th Duluth Superior Film Festival, and if you haven't had a chance to catch any of the films, there's still time. And once again this year, admission is free to the various films, but donations are encouraged. And once again, the menu of films is rich and diverse, featuring many Made in Minnesota projects. Joining us to talk about the weekend events is Richard Hansen, the founder and director of the Duluth Superior Film Festival. Richard, thank you very much for being here. How many interesting films are there from which you can choose? Did you, in fact, how did you choose these?
Well, I've got a team of people who are looking for things all the time. We're constantly have boots on the ground, and we keep track of a lot of the projects that are in development and as they work through their process. And then we go and we ask people, we ask the distributors, we ask filmmakers, we ask all these. We've got a lot of networking that goes along with it, but programming is what we do.
Do you lean toward films that were made in this region?
We really do. We become known as the festival that really profiles the Minnesota-made films or regional films in general. We're a boutique festival that offers a smaller slate of films, but almost every single one of the films is going to have some sort of a Minnesota influence to it.
What about the films themselves? What are the subject matters? Do they tend to be more adult, more dark? Are they family friendly?
It's interesting. I say this every year that the festival gets its own identity every year. It just sort of decides. You look at what's available to you. You look at what you can get and what somebody presents to you. This year, the festival did gain a little bit of a darker edge. Our opening night film had some a heavier tone, but was a fantastically successful event. And some of the other films, we're really excited about the films that are playing closing night at the Comet Theater in Cook, Minnesota, but they both have a little bit of a darker edge to them. So every year, we don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's cultural climate, maybe it's the mood of the programmers, but for whatever reason, the festival gains its own identity that way.
People might be surprised that they have to go all the way up to Cook to
I
see
know.
the closing night
There's
films.
real reasons behind this. The two films that we have, I Am Not a Serial Killer, which stars Christopher Lloyd and Max Records. You might recognize Christopher Lloyd as the Doc from Back to the Future. But and then After the Reality, which is our closing night presentation. Both these films were shot in Virginia, Minnesota, over the past couple of years. And on Crane Lake and in other locations. We partner with the IRRB, and one of the stipulations was play something that was shot around here and play it up here on the range. So we're really happy to do that.
So will viewers recognize some of the scenes then in this movie?
Oh, absolutely. They'll absolutely. Virginia is prominently placed. Crane Lake is prominently placed. Ely is also in a lot of the shots. So the viewers from the range will definitely see their hometown in it.
How's the festival funded?
We've got a lot of different ways. Obviously, we have sponsorships, which we couldn't do it without the support of our great sponsors. We get some grants as well. But donations are a really big and important part. Obviously, we're a free festival, so we do ask for people to donate. But we say that you can donate a lot of ways. You can donate some money, you can donate time, you can donate word of mouth, you can donate a lot of different ways, and it really does go a long way.
Take us back a little bit, Richard. How did the film festival get started?
Way back when I was mutual friends with this woman named Ricky McManus. A mutual friend of ours, his name is Andrew Peterson. He suggested that Duluth might be a good location because he said, Ricky McManus will move mountains for you, and they've got a lot of great hotels that I bet would bend over backwards to get something like this in town. We met right away with Visit Duluth and Terry Matson, and he said, yeah, we want to do this here. And then the support from the community has just been spectacular. We get donations and we get venues, all kinds of things donated to us. The Clyde Iron every year donates their space to us. The Teatro Zaccone and Cinema donate their space. Zeitgeist Arts donates their space as sponsors. So that's really been the incredible support that we've received.
Does anybody in the industry pay attention to what Duluth audiences or Duluth Superior or Northland audiences think about the films?
Oh, of course they do. Cinema has a great track record with distributors. A couple of years ago, well, I think it was a year and a half ago, a Wes Anderson film played there, and Duluth outpaced the country in percentage of box office. There's only a 96-seat theater, but they were selling better percentage-wise than anywhere else. So yeah, distributors pay a lot of attention.
To your knowledge, are there any films in the developmental stage that will be shot here in the Northland?
Well, there are some. I can't really speak too much, but I know that there's a couple that are already done and that are that we'll get for next year and that we're looking at for next year. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on all that stuff. Ricky McManus is really great about that. Things that are going up on the range, people coming for tours, people looking around. Wide Range Films is also doing a great job up on the range of helping people move their productions to the range or to Minneapolis or anywhere in Minnesota, really. The Minnesota Film and TV Board is absolutely an outstanding resource for us.
We've got about 20 seconds or so. People who want to participate, how do they find out what films are showing, what events are taking place?
Sure, go to our website, of course, www.ds ff.com. But all of our screenings right now are going to be at the Cinema and Zeitgeist. You could just come down, grab a program. We're all hanging out there. Saturday is going to be a big day. We got some films on Sunday, and then head up to Cook on
Wonderful.
For the end.
Everybody caravanning up to Cook?
There's going to be a big group.
Nice.
All right.
All right. Richard
Okay.
Hansen, Duluth Superior Film
Thank you.
Festival. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's time now for the week's business headlines from Business North. Cliffs Natural Resources has entered into a 10-year agreement with ArcelorMittal to supply taconite. The pellets will be manufactured at United Taconite, which will reopen this fall after being closed last July due to poor market conditions. Cliffs will make $65 million capital expenditure at UTAC so it can manufacture a premium fluxed pellet. ArcelorMittal's decision was bad news for SR Steel Minnesota, which struck a similar deal with the company in 2013 but never met its supply obligation. SR's Nashwauk processing plant has not been completed, and the company is yet to manufacture its first pellets there.
Duluth-based Foster Jacobs Johnson Engineering and Fargo-based Obermiller Nelson Engineering are merging to broaden their regional footprint. Obermiller Nelson will gain the engineering experience at Foster Jacobs Johnson in Duluth and Minneapolis and also establish a presence in Sioux Falls. The combined firms will employ 125 across North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota.
The Public Utilities Commission on Thursday approved Minnesota Power's Solar Garden pilot program. Construction will begin this summer in Duluth, with power generation expected by late this year. Community solar gardens are designed for customers who want to go solar, but who rent or don't have a site that is suited for generating electricity. Customers can make an upfront one-time payment, pay a fixed monthly fee, or pay a fixed charge per kilowatt hours. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
So call now if you have a comment on this week's show. Dial 218-788-2849 and leave a message, or send an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org. You can also visit the WDSC website for updates on your favorite programs and get the latest news about the station's upcoming events. And Julie, it's time for backyard barbecues and weekends at the lake, if the weather cooperates.
Yeah, for right now, the buns are getting pretty soggy.
They are, aren't they? Oh boy, we've got rain. All right, for Julie and the crew at Almanac North, I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend, everybody, and be kind.